Imagine this. You sit down to start that task you've been avoiding. The screen stares back. Your mind says, maybe I'll just make a coffee first. Maybe I'll check my messages. Maybe later, when I feel ready. And somehow, hours pass. You didn't rest. You didn't work. You lived in between the most exhausting place of all. We call it procrastination. But what if I told you, your brain isn't lazy? It's strategic. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, just not for the world you live in today. Let's explore why your brain loves to procrastinate and how you can turn that ancient survival instinct into focus, flow, and freedom. The human brain is an ancient machine running on modern problems. It evolved to keep you alive, not productive. For most of history, our challenges were physical and immediate. Find food, avoid danger, stay connected to the tribe. Back then, procrastination wasn't a flaw, it was wisdom. Hesitation could save your life. If a shadow looked like a predator, waiting a moment to confirm wasn't laziness, it was survival. But today, the threats are abstract. Deadlines, emails, expectations. The same brain that once delayed for safety now delays for comfort. It can't tell the difference between a real threat and a psychological one. That's the paradox of procrastination. You're not running away from the task, you're running away from the emotions it triggers. To understand procrastination, we need to talk about the limbic system, the emotional brain. When you think of doing something unpleasant, like studying, writing, or cleaning, the limbic system detects emotional discomfort. It says, "This feels bad. Avoid it." So, you distract yourself. And for a brief moment, you feel relief. That's the reward. Dopamine is released not for finishing the task, but for escaping it. This is the brain's trap. You learn that avoidance equals pleasure. Work equals pain. And every time you procrastinate, you strengthen that circuit. You're not weak. You're conditioned. Inside your skull, two systems are fighting. The first is the limbic system, impulsive, emotional, ancient. The second is the prefrontal cortex, rational, disciplined, modern. The limbic system says, do what feels good now. The prefrontal cortex says, do what matters later. In an ideal world, they work together. But when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, the emotional brain takes over. The rational part goes offline. It's like a wise leader falling asleep while a child grabs the steering wheel. That's why you can know exactly what to do, yet still not do it. Knowledge doesn't override emotion. Emotion always wins the short game. There's another reason we procrastinate: temporal discounting. Your brain values present pleasure more than future reward. Tomorrow feels abstract, far away, unreal. The future you isn't a real person, it's a stranger. And the brain doesn't like doing favors for strangers. So you say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll eat better next week. I'll work harder next month. And when tomorrow arrives, the brain repeats the pattern because it's still chasing the now. The brain doesn't understand someday. It understands now or never. Procrastination often wears a disguise: perfectionism. We tell ourselves, I'm not lazy, I just want to do it right. But perfectionism is just procrastination wearing a suit. It's fear, polished and intellectualized. When you say, it's not ready yet, what you often mean is, I'm not ready to be judged. The fear of failure, rejection, or imperfection becomes paralyzing. And the easiest way to avoid failure is to never start. But here's the irony. Perfectionists rarely feel proud because nothing ever feels perfect. They live in eternal preparation, never creation. They polish the key but never open the door. Neuroscience shows that procrastination is not just mental, it's chemical. When we face a task that feels overwhelming, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, lights up. It perceives the task as a threat. Then, cortisol and adrenaline flood the system, triggering stress and avoidance. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and self-control, is inhibited by that same stress response. So you literally lose access to the part of your brain that helps you focus. That's why "just start" sounds simple, but feels impossible. Your biology is fighting you. But the good news? Biology can be retrained. You can't outthink the emotional brain, but you can trick it. The key is to make the task feel safe and small. The smaller it feels, the less resistance it triggers. Instead of saying, "I'll write a full essay," say, "I'll write one sentence." Instead of saying, "I'll go to the gym," say, "I'll put on my shoes." Once you begin, something magical happens. Momentum. Dopamine starts flowing. The amygdala calms down, and your rational brain wakes up. Action isn't the result of motivation. It's the cause of it. Dopamine isn't about pleasure, it's about pursuit. It's the chemical of wanting, not having. Social media, games, notifications, they all hijack this system. They promise quick hits of progress without real effort. Your brain starts expecting constant stimulation, instant results, instant validation. So when you sit down for deep work, the slow burn reward of focus feels unbearable. It's not that you lost discipline. It's that your reward system has been rewired. To reverse it, you need to practice dopamine fasting, not by avoiding pleasure, but by choosing slower rewards. Reading, writing, exercising, creating. Let the brain relearn the beauty of effort. Procrastination isn't just a behavior, it's an identity loop. Every time you delay, you tell yourself, "I'm the kind of person who procrastinates." And the more you repeat it, the truer it feels. But identity works both ways. If you start telling yourself, "I'm the kind of person who starts small," your actions begin to align with that belief. You don't need to become productive overnight. You need to become someone who honors the first step. Discipline is not a trait. It's a story you tell yourself and then act out, one small scene at a time. People say, "I'll start when I feel motivated." But motivation is unreliable. It's an emotion, not a strategy. It comes after you start, not before. When you begin a task, dopamine releases not just when you finish, but when you make progress. That's why small wins matter. They teach the brain, effort leads to reward. Waiting for motivation is like waiting to feel warm before lighting the fire. It never comes. You must act first, and the warmth follows. At its core, procrastination is rarely about time management. It's about emotion management. Sometimes we procrastinate because we fear failure. Other times, we fear success, the pressure of expectations that come after achievement. Some procrastinate out of rebellion, a quiet resistance to being controlled. "I'll do it on my terms." It's the brain's way of saying, "I'm still in charge." And often, beneath it all, there's shame. We believe we're broken for not doing what we should. That shame becomes the very fuel that keeps us stuck. You can't shame yourself into action. You can only understand yourself into growth. If your inner dialogue sounds like, "Why can't I just focus? What's wrong with me?" You're feeding the very system that keeps you stuck. The brain doesn't respond well to self-attack. When you criticize yourself, You activate the same stress circuits that cause procrastination in the first place. But when you respond with curiosity, not judgment, something shifts. The prefrontal cortex reactivates. The emotional storm settles, and clarity returns. Compassion isn't weakness. It's the environment where discipline can grow. There's a state where procrastination disappears. Flow. In flow, time dissolves. The emotional brain is calm, and the rational brain takes command. You're fully immersed, neither bored nor anxious, but perfectly balanced between challenge and skill. To enter flow, you need 3 things: clear goals, immediate feedback, a level of difficulty that slightly exceeds your current ability. The mistake most people make? They set goals that are too vague or too overwhelming. Finish the book is paralyzing. Write 1 paragraph about chapter 1 is activating. Flow begins at the edge of clarity, not the peak of perfection. The brain associates spaces with behaviors. If you scroll social media in bed, your brain learns bed equals stimulation. If you watch YouTube at your desk, your brain learns desk equals entertainment. To rewire procrastination, you must rewire context. Design your environment so that friction favors focus. Remove distractions. Add triggers of progress. Even simple rituals, lighting a candle, opening a notebook, putting on headphones, tell the brain, it's time to create. Discipline isn't just willpower, it's architecture. Here's something profound. People rarely procrastinate on things they find deeply meaningful. You don't delay what feels connected to your identity, your purpose, your values. You delay what feels empty. That's why the cure for procrastination isn't just productivity systems, it's meaning. Ask yourself, why does this matter? What does this build? Who do I become if I finish this? When your task becomes a statement of identity, not obligation, the brain cooperates. Because now, it's not pain, it's purpose. Think of momentum like physics. Objects at rest stay at rest. Objects in motion stay in motion. The hardest part is not the task, it's the transition. The gap between intention and action is where most people fall. So shorten that gap. Count down from 5. Stand up. Start. Don't think. Move. The brain learns faster from movement than from thought. You don't need to feel ready. You need to feel in motion. We procrastinate because we want control, yet we lose control by doing it. The task feels too big, too uncertain, too risky. So we delay to feel safe. But the truth is, control doesn't come before action. It comes through action. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. One small decision at a time. Start before you're ready. Act before you're certain. Because clarity comes from doing, not thinking. Procrastination is a time disorder. It keeps you living in 2 places at once, fearing the future, escaping into distraction. The cure is presence. When you focus entirely on what's in front of you, not the whole mountain, just the next stone, the brain calms down. So breathe. Feel the pen in your hand. Hear the sound of the keys. Smell the coffee beside you. The future doesn't need you yet. Only the next step does. If you want to overcome procrastination permanently, stop treating it as an enemy. Treat it as a signal. Every delay says something about your emotional state, your fear, your lack of clarity. Listen to it. Then turn resistance into ritual. Schedule time for focus. Design small beginnings. Celebrate small completions. Discipline is not built in a day. It's built in thousands of 5-minute decisions. The opposite of procrastination isn't productivity. Its presence. Every time you begin, you reclaim a little power from your ancient brain. Power to choose discomfort over avoidance, growth over relief, and purpose over pleasure. Your brain may love procrastination, but it loves progress more. You just have to remind it who's in charge. So start. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because the longer you wait to begin, the longer you'll wait to become.